Welcome to the Campus Solutions Financial Aid Spotlight for FAFSA Simplification Updates. These updates were delivered in a PRP and redelivered as a part of PUM Image 31 in January 2024. As a part of the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021, U.S. Congress passed the FAFSA Simplification Act, which included numerous changes and new requirements for federal student aid. The provisions of this bill were adopted by federal student aid in a phased approach, with the largest changes going into effect 8-year 2024-2025. This video will discuss the aspects of the FAFSA Simplification Act that require development changes from Campus Solutions Financial Aid. We will review the following: 2024-2025 ISIR Updates, Enrollment Intensity added to FA term, new housing type field and budgets update, awarding federal student aid, federal work study earnings reporting to COD, FM needs analysis calculator update, self-service updates, fields available through population update, college financing plan 2024-2025 template update, features still in development, and documentation. Let's start with the key to CAA, FAFSA simplification and the impact to the ISIR files. The 2024-2025 ISIR saw a total redesign of the ISIR file layout. We now see an ISIR with the concept of contributors. The length of the ISIR file has been increased to 7,704 positions. We have the introduction of data from the Federal Internal Revenue Service and the introduction of the Student Aid Index to replace the expected family contribution. In accommodating these changes, we wanted to mitigate impact to current ISIR load process you're familiar with in CS. The multi-step process of loading ISIR files with FA inbound and process ISIR remains unchanged. We have updated the FA inbound and process ISIR logic to accommodate the new layout. The 2024-2025 ISIR file data pages have been updated to reflect all fields in the 2025 ISIR file. 2024-2025 suspense management has also been updated to reflect the new ISIR changes. ISIR records will now be in a new component that will hold ISIR data for 8-year 2025 onward. After this release, Campus Solutions will not need to deliver a new ISIR component for each award year. The page will now be named as Correct ISIR Records. This new component was designed using the Classic Plus style sheet. You may need to turn on Classic Plus to view the component in the new design. To do so, navigate to Main Menu, People Tools, Portal, Branding, Branding System Options, then change Theme Style Type to Classic Plus. In viewing the new Correct ISIR Records component, you'll see there are new pages. We now have pages for each contributor role on the ISIR: student, student spouse, parent, parent spouse, or partner. The Assumptions Goal Codes tab you may be familiar with is now Transaction Detail. The EFC DB match page is now SAI and flags. We've modernized the design of the page to accommodate the new data fields on the ISIR. We've incorporated collapsible group boxes to give you more control on what data is displayed on the page when viewing, and organize the data into sections based on the breakdown in Volume 4 of the FAFSA Specifications Guide. Each contributor's financial information will be displayed in the following columns: FTI amounts and manually reported amounts. FTI amounts contains fields that were identified as holding FTI or federal tax information from the IRS. This data block will include the FTI indicator when FTI data is present in the loaded ISIR file. FTI data is not able to be modified and is read-only. Manually reported amounts represent any financial information that was self-reported by the contributor on the FAFSA application. This section is also where the FAA will enter any professional judgment or corrections on the ISIR recorded from the institution. Please refer to Electronic Announcement Gen 2324 regarding access and use of federal tax information for federal student aid programs for more details from federal student aid on the purpose and use of FTI information. Institutions are encouraged to explore Page and Field Configurator to control what fields are displayed to users and security roles on application pages. Page and Field Configurator is an enterprise component which institutions can currently access. Please visit KM-Doc ID 2870029.1 for a demo video from CS Financial Aid Development on how Page and Field Configurator can be used to hide or mask fields on financial aid pages. PeopleSoft YouTube channel has many Page and Field Configurator videos. The transaction detail page will include processing information related to the ISIR, as well as new affirmation and consent fields, and transaction indicators, including the CFH and IASG indicators. The SAI and flags page will include intermediate values from the SAI calculation and the match flag fields. Our KM doc for information on changes being delivered for next phases of FAFSA Simplification Act implementation, including Student Aid Index, Doc ID 2870029.1, includes a spreadsheet that provides each field position within the 2024-2025 ISIR file and where that data is stored on Campus Solutions ISIR tables. Please note that the ability to generate ISIR correction files to transmit to FPS is not included in this release. That functionality is targeted for PUM Image 32 with a pre-PUM 32 PRP release planned. Please visit KM Doc ID 747743.1 for more information as it becomes available. With the changes to the 2024-2025 ISIR file layout, we also see significant changes to the ISIR comic codes and reject codes. We have updated the ISIR comic code setup to reflect the new comic codes as of the 2024-2025 and linked them to the CSDB match use values. We have also introduced new DB match use values to handle comic codes related to foreign income exempt and unaccompanied youth comic codes. An ISIR loaded with one or more comic codes related to foreign income or unaccompanied youth will be marked on student aid attribute as having a match associated to foreign income exempt or unaccompanied youth. The comic code must be resolved before federal student aid can be awarded against that ISIR for the student. We have also updated the ISIR reject codes and the ISIR Title IV school code tables for 2024-2025. Next, let's discuss enrollment intensity. CAA and FAFSA Simplification introduces a new concept of enrollment intensity. Enrollment intensity is the number of enrolled credits divided by the number of credits required for full-time enrollment or financial aid. Enrollment intensity is rounded to the nearest whole percent using standard rounding rules and is capped at 100%. Starting aid year 2024-2025, Pell Grant annual award amounts will now be calculated using enrollment intensity rather than the student's financial aid load enrollment status. We have updated student FA term to add fields for enrollment intensity for aid year 2025 onward. The field will not be visible on aid year 2024 and prior. This field will have an override function where a user can override the calculated value of enrollment intensity based on the institution's business rules. Enrollment intensity field is accessible via population updates. If FA term is locked as of the census date, the value of enrollment intensity will also be locked and no longer be updated unless you enter in a value through override. Enrollment intensity has been added to FA term audit and census date tracking pages. We have updated authorization and disbursement to track enrollment intensity at the time of disbursement. The FA load value will remain on FA term as enrollment intensity applies only to annual Pell. FA load remains needed for budgets, direct loans, and other purposes. With the changes due to CAA, the 2024-2025 FAFSA will no longer request the student's housing selection for each school code on the form. Housing type is not used to calculate a student's SAI, but it is an important factor when a school determines the appropriate cost of attendance. Campus Solutions is delivering the following approach to this gap. We added a new field to installation FA for housing type. This will be a global field that must be set by the institution. We have also added a new field to the student aid attribute record to indicate the housing type selection at the IMPL ID aid year level. Population of this field will be optional. We've updated the budget logic to reference these new fields starting aid year 2024-2025, when the application service rank priority is ISIR. For more detail, please visit KMDoc 2990217.1. It will be the institution's responsibility to determine how they want to collect housing selection from their student population. Population of the housing type field at the student level can be done through package status summary and will be accessible via population updates. The packaging engine has been updated to use the Student Aid Index, or the SAI, in awarding federal aid for the aid year 2024-2025 onward. Starting 2024-2025, Department of Education will no longer be publishing Pell schedules. They will publish the minimum and maximum Pell amounts for each year, starting with aid year 2025. For 2024-2025, you will need to update the setup on aggregate aid limits to populate two new fields: minimum Pell scheduled award and maximum Pell scheduled award. Population of these fields will be required for packaging to award Pell grants for the aid year 2024-2025 and onward. Pell schedules for 2023-2024 will continue to use the loaded Pell schedules. The packaging engine has been coded to determine a student-scheduled Pell award without the use of Pell schedules. We will also be verifying ISO data loaded for the values of the minimum Pell and maximum Pell indicators. With the introduction of enrollment intensity, the packaging engine has been updated to use the student's term enrollment intensity value in the Pell award determination. Use of this value will replace the usage of FA load starting aid year 2024-2025. You do not need to change the Pell calculation setup you have in place. If you are using an FA load calculation for aid year 2025 onward, that option will use the enrollment intensity value. If you are using a full-time setup, that option will calculate assuming an enrollment intensity of 100%. Your own Pell has also been updated to use the enrollment intensity value. For further detail on the use of enrollment intensity in Pell calculation, please review the 2024-2025 Student Aid Index, SAI, and Pell Grant Eligibility Guide from Federal Student Aid. We have made label updates on packaging and awarding pages to accommodate the SAI label. Please note that the SAI can be as low as -1500. If the SAI is negative, we will display that negative value so that you can see the true representation of the student's SAI as it is on the ISIR. In determining federal need and awarding, a negative SAI will be treated as an SAI of 0. In this case, the student's cost of attendance is $21,500, and the SAI is -1500. The student's federal need is $21,500. We have updated the FA term data on assigned awards to easily display the student's enrollment intensity value per term. Other changes to packaging and awarding pages include, but are not limited to, mass packaging, repackaging, package status summary, and view financial aid status. As a part of the Consolidated Appropriations Act and FAFSA Simplification, updates have been delivered to support the Student Aid Index federal methodology calculation for 2024-2025 aid year. The FMNAC code that has been delivered is reflective of the October 2023 guides published by the Department of Education. Oracle is in development on updates outlined in the November and December 2023 versions of the FAFSA Specifications Guide, Volume 5, Edits and Rejects. A notification message is being delivered for the FMNAC online, FM simulation, and mass CFC calculations to warn users that the SAI calculated by the FMNAC should not be used for packaging purposes, as the FMNAC is not reflective of the latest published documentation from the Department of Education. An updated JAR will be delivered after PUM 31 to bring the FMNAC code in alignment with the updates communicated in the November and December 2023 updates to the Volume 5 of the FAFSA Specifications Guide. As part of Oracle's ongoing testing for the FMNAC code, a bug was found for some edit rejects that were incorrectly being returned, which resulted in the SAI calculation not completing. The following POC bug is available for institutions to request in order to obtain the updated jar file to resolve these specific reject edit issues. Please be aware that the jar file delivered by the POC will not bring the FMNAC code in alignment with the November and December 2023 Volume 5 updates. Bug 36160089. Oracle anticipates there will be several jar file updates for customers to update as the FMNAC code is made current to published documentation, testing of the updated ISIR files once posted by the Department of Education, and code fixes for any issues reported by the community. Institutions are encouraged to monitor KM.ID 747743.1 for the planned PRPs. The updates pertaining to reporting federal work-study earnings to COD were delivered via PRP on October 19, 2023, using patch number 34858.743 and delivered in PUM image 31. Support has been delivered for reporting a calendar year 2022 federal work-study earnings to COD, Common Origination and Disbursement, in alignment with the published campus-based Common Record Layout and the 1.0A schema. Institutions can report federal work-study earnings for a student at the calendar year level only, or using a calendar year award year combination. The FWS reporting to COD, file parser context definition, and file mapping definition have been delivered for the loading of federal work-study data into the newly created SFA, FWS, STG table. Institutions will be responsible for sourcing the required data for reporting student federal work-study earnings data to COD. Once that data is sourced, the delivered file parser context definition and file mapping definition can be leveraged to load student federal work-study data into the SFA, FWS, STG table. Component pages have been delivered to support the following functions: manually add a student to the new federal work-study table, review and update the data loaded to the new federal work-study table via the file parser upload process on the Federal Work-Study Data tab. The FWS Processing Actions tab will provide you with a history of the actions performed for each sequence row. When a sequence row is in a pending transmission status, you will be able to modify the CPS transaction number, aid year, earnings amount, and status. When a sequence row is in a transmitted status, you will be able to modify the status only. When a sequence row is in an accepted or error status, you will not be able to perform any edits. The SFA GEN FWS process has been delivered to generate the outbound XML file to transmit student FWS earnings to COD. Users will have several options for selecting the population of records to be included in the generated FWS XML file. Population selection, student override, and the general selection of all records for a specific academic institution are supported. The SFA FWS in process has been delivered to support the loading of response files received from COD. The Views FWS COD data component is used to view all FWS COD data included in the associated document ID. It presents the inbound and outbound COD data at the document, school, student, and award levels. We're providing the following updates to the CS self-service pages and to the Student Services Center within campus community. On self-service pages, both Classic and Fluid, we have updated labels to reflect SAI or Student Aid Index when displaying aid year 2025 or greater. If the SAI is a negative value, that negative value will display on the self-service pages to the student. On the Student Services Center, we have updated the Financial Aid tab to use the SAI status label starting aid year 2024-2025 and to display the enrollment intensity value for each term. We have a couple of updates for POP Update. In PUM image 31, we have enhanced the POP Update feature to make the following fields available for update: On student FA term, we have made the enrollment intensity field available for pop update. On student aid attribute, we have made the housing type, foreign income match override, and unaccompanied youth match override fields available for pop update. We have delivered updates for the College Financing Plan, or CFP, grad and undergraduate templates for 2024-2025. Note the new 2024-2025 CFP templates includes the update to use the student aid index terminology. We've delivered a new feature for CFP templates for aid year 2024-2025. We have provided a new hide download button option for each CFP template group. More control over this download button was expressed by the FA community on Oracle CS FA Idea Labs. Selecting that option will hide the download button on the generated CFP for a student. If you want the CFP group to have access to their CFP data in an XML layout, leave this option unchecked. There are additional updates currently in development or planned for development with Campus Solutions Financial Aid. These updates include 2024-2025 FM verification updates, 2024-2025 ISIR corrections generation, 2024-2025 FM NAC jar file update. Information on these updates and known issues are shared in our KM doc. Information on changes being delivered for next phases of FAFSA simplification implementation, KM doc ID 2870029.1, Consolidated Appropriations Act CAA updates, PRP January 2024, doc ID 2997208.1. As issues are resolved, we will be providing additional PRP updates to our CSFA community. Any updates delivered via PRP will automatically be redelivered in subsequent PUM image. With the changes seen from FAFSA simplification within CS and across federal student aid, we encourage you to be aware of where your documentation resources are located. For Campus Solutions, there have been many updates to PeopleBook as well as KM documentation. We have a KM doc ID 2870029.1, which we have used to keep the community updated on changes within CS during our development period. On this KM doc, you will find a mapping spreadsheet of the ISIR file to CS records and fields, as well as a demo video on page and field configurator. KM doc ID 2997208.1 is a KM specific to the updates within the FAFSA simplification PRP and PUM image 31. This KM includes a flowchart showing how CS will determine Pell awards without the use of Pell schedules. We continuously update our FA regulatory release schedule KM doc ID 747743.1. KM doc ID 3001643.1 is a document on questions related to PUM image 31. The PeopleSoft YouTube channel is available for highlight videos and demos on features delivered by CS across PUM images. The Federal Student Aid Knowledge Center is a key resource for the FA community across all of the changes with FAFSA simplification. There you will find FAFSA Specifications Guide, SAI and Pell Grant Eligibility Guide, including worksheets, the Federal Student Aid Handbook, and recordings from the Better FAFSA, Better Future webinar series and the 2023 FSA virtual conference. Thank you for viewing the spotlight video for Campus Solutions 9.2 PUM Image 31 CAA updates. For the information about the PUM image, you can access Campus Solutions PUM image overview on My Oracle Support or visit the PeopleSoft information portal, Campus Solutions section.